Service technicians have come to depend on the MOPAR diagnostic system for assistance when diagnosing and repairing problems on the vehicles they work on. Since the early part of this decade, the MDS has provided technicians with the tools and information they need to deal with the ever-increasing computerized technology that controls more and more vehicle systems. But technology advances rapidly, and those who do not keep up will be left stranded on the shoulder of the information highway. Help is on the way, though, and it comes in the form of the next generation MOPAR diagnostic system, the MDS2. The purpose of this month's Master Tech is to introduce the MDS2 as well as provide you with information about its features and instructions on its use. After completing this program, you'll be able to describe the MDS2's general features, log on to the MDS2, and know what to do if you are unable to log on to the system. You'll also be able to navigate through the MDS2 using the system's tabs and its common controls. Additionally, you'll know how to start an MDS2 session, access the MDS2's computer-based training modules and the help function, and handle any difficulties you may encounter along the way. You'll call upon the information in this program often over the coming years, as the MDS2 promises to be a tool you'll use well into the 21st century. Unlike its predecessor, which was a standalone unit, the MDS2 is just one application in a total dealership computer package known as the Chrysler Information System, or CIS. At the heart of the system is the CIS server, which is a sophisticated computer that holds MDS2 and dial application software. The CIS server contains all the necessary software that is used by the dealership for vehicle sales, service, dial functions, and future Customer Connect applications. The MDS2 application software provides you with VIN-specific diagnostics and vehicle-specific service information, including electronic versions of all the supporting service publications. The information on the CIS server is updated periodically through new versions that are released on CD-ROM. This information is accessed through workstations, which are known as clients. You can think of the client workstation as a window to the MDS2 information, which resides on the CIS server. Alone, the workstation does nothing. When linked to the server, it allows access to MDS2 and other applications. The workstation hardware includes a 200 MHz processor running in a Windows environment with a 2.5 GB hard drive. A 17-inch monitor displays the different MDS2 screens in color, another improvement over the previous system. Also new is a light pen, which is a pointing device that allows users an easy way to navigate through the MDS2 application. A keyboard is included for alphanumeric data entry and function key commands. And a Hewlett-Packard MP6 printer provides hard copies when you need them. Additional printers are optional. A rolling cart is available as an option to provide a platform for the MDS2 workstation, with a choice of 25 or 50-foot cables. Let's take a look at what's included in the MDS2 information that is accessed on the workstation. MDS2 includes diagnostics for all domestic vehicles from model year 1996 to present, excluding Viper, Prowler, and Sebring Avenger Talon. Diagnostics are available based on either the symptoms of the vehicle's problem or by the system that you want to check. Flash reprogramming, which updates the software in vehicle controllers, is available for all programmable control modules. MDS2 also includes electronic service manuals, as well as wiring diagrams for 1996 and later vehicles, except those noted earlier. TSBs and recalls for all vehicles since 1992 are available on the MDS2, as is parts information for all vehicles from 1990 to the present. MDS2 bulletins are included as well. You can look up specific vehicle information, such as its warranty coverage, warranty service history, and a detailed list of its as-built equipment. Online training that covers MDS2 usage is also accessed from the MDS2 workstation. The MDS2 has some helpful new tools, as well as some that you may already be familiar with. One tool is the live controller data display, which allows you to monitor engine controller data on all 1996 and later vehicles. Other useful tools include the live controller data recorder, which captures vehicle data for later review, along with the controller recording viewer, which you can use to display vehicle data recordings made with the data recorder or Copilot. Both the data recorder and Copilot work for engine controllers only on all vehicles from model year 1996 to the present. This coverage will be expanded in the future. A few cautions are in order concerning the use of the MDS2 workstation. You should not think of the MDS2 client as a computer like the one you might have at home. It's to be used only for vehicle service information and diagnostics. Do not attempt to load or run other software. And sorry, there is no internet access. Those are some of the general features of the next generation MOPAR diagnostic system. We'll see how to get started on the MDS2 in the next segment. Give this review question a try first. The MDS2 workstation is also called A, the CIS server, B, the client, C, the Customer Connect computer, or D, all of the above. The correct answer is B. The MDS2 workstation is called the client, which is used to access the MDS2 information from the CIS server. You saw earlier that the MDS2 workstation functions as a link to the MDS2 information. When you use the MDS2 application, you are actually accessing the information stored on the CIS server from a remote location, which we call the client. Let's take a step-by-step look at logging onto the system and starting an MDS2 session. The MDS2 client should be left on at all times. You should only have to turn the monitor on when using the MDS2. The first display you'll see is called the launcher screen, which currently gives you 4 options. You can select either MDS2, System Administration, Dial 2000, or Shutdown. As other features are made available, they'll be added to the launcher screen. The System Administration module should only be used by your dealership's Customer Connect coordinator, previously known as the Dial Administrator, who takes care of all the CIS applications. Before a technician can log onto the MDS2, a technician ID and password must be entered into the system by the Customer Connect coordinator. When you select the MDS2 application, the Log On dialog box appears after the workstation accesses the MDS2 software in the server. This may take a couple of minutes. At this point, we should take the time to talk about the MDS2 training modules, which include instructions on how to log on to the system. Clicking the Training button in the Log On dialog box brings up a prompt where you enter your tracking ID, which is your Social Security number. Instructions for logging on appear next, followed by a prompt for you to select a training module. When a training tab comes up, the module selection screen displays the different training modules that are available to you. There are also buttons that let you choose either the training or testing mode on the right side of the screen. While in the training mode, simply select the topic you want to study. A step-by-step tutorial provides instructions on various MDS2 topics. In the testing mode, you can take the test for each module in any order. After passing each module's test with a score of at least 85%, that module button will display a complete note. You'll find that following the modules in the Training tab is probably the best way to become proficient at using the MDS2, especially if you're new to the system. Now let's turn our attention back to the logon procedure. From the Logon dialog box, use the light pen to click the downward arrow in the Technician field, which shows a drop-down menu of all the technician IDs on the system. Select your technician ID from the menu. If your technician ID is not displayed, see your Customer Connect coordinator for assistance. After entering your technician ID, enter your password and click OK. If your password does not work, check to make sure you typed it in correctly and that the correct case is used. If the MDS2 is already running with another technician logged on, the procedure for a new user to log on is a little different. To change the active user on the MDS2, select the Change button from the Common Controls. After you save or discard the current session, the Change dialog box comes up. In the Change dialog box, select the Change Technician button in the upper right-hand corner. Then enter your technician ID and password in the same manner described earlier. There are a couple of other options you can choose from the Logon dialog box. Selecting the Clear button will reset the technician and password fields in the Logon box, and the Exit button will end the current session and take you back to the launcher screen. If you have any problems logging on to the MDS2 system, contact your dealership's Customer Connect coordinator or call the MDS2 helpline at 1-800-374-4040. You can also refer to the MDS2 quick reference cards, which give instructions on what to do if you have any difficulties. Now let's look at the different ways of starting an MDS2 session. Once you are logged on to the MDS2, start a session by clicking the Change button. The Change dialog box shows the various sessions available. To start a session using the vehicle identification number, you can type the last 9 digits of the VIN in the VIN field. Click OK, and the MDS2 will request the vehicle information from Dial. You can also type the entire 17-digit VIN for the vehicle you're working on and click OK. Or the MDS2 can read the VIN directly from the vehicle through the DRB3 scan tool. In order to communicate with the MDS2, the DRB3 must be connected to the MDS2 through the GPIB cable, which is similar to the cable on the MDS1. And it must be connected to the vehicle's data link connector via the CH7000 cable. Additionally, the vehicle's key must be in the on position, and the DRB3 must be in the MDS2 mode. If all of these conditions are present, the MDS2 will automatically read the VIN from the vehicle's PCM. If the MDS2 does not recognize the VIN as valid or cannot read it through the DRB3, an error message will appear asking you to re-enter the VIN or verify the connection between the vehicle, the DRB3, and the MDS2 client. The status of the DRB connection to the MDS2 client is displayed on the screen. When the MDS2 recognizes the VIN as valid, it asks for the vehicle's mileage and the owner's name. After entering this information, you can begin working within your new VIN session. If you need to open a session that was saved previously, select the session you want from the list under the Resume Session field, then click OK. You can also delete unwanted sessions from this list by selecting the appropriate session and clicking the Delete button as long as you are the owner of the session. Another way to start an MDS2 session is by entering the vehicle's year, model, and engine. This is known as a YME session. To start a YME session, simply enter the year, model, and engine from the corresponding drop-down menu, or choose a YME combination from the list below the drop-down menus. You should be aware, however, that MDS2 diagnostics are not available during a YME session. Once the session is started, the main MDS2 screen displays the active vehicle and technician information. 8 of the 9 tabs at the top of the MDS2 screen will be activated according to their applicability to the current vehicle, as will the 9 common controls which are arranged under the tabs. Tabs that are available will appear gray, while those that are disabled will be black. Common controls that are not active will appear grayed out. You'll be learning all about MDS2 tabs and common controls in the next segment. Try answering another review question before we move on. True or false? To start an MDS2 VIN session, you can enter the entire vehicle identification number or just the last 6 digits. It's false. You must enter either the entire 17-digit VIN or the last 9 digits in order to begin a VIN session on the MDS2. MDS2 functions are conveniently arranged according to function into 9 easy-to-use tabs. Each tab serves as a starting point to reach the many related functions that are nested within that tab. Accessing the different tabs is as easy as using the light pen to select a tab that is available. The 9 tabs include Diagnostics, Tools, Flash, TSBs and Recalls, Manuals, Wiring, Parts, History, and Training. Let's go over each tab one at a time and look at some of its features and modes. The Diagnostics tab helps you determine the specific cause of a vehicle problem by helping you systematically investigate it. You can choose to go about your diagnosis based on either the type of symptom that is present or by the system that is affected. The Diagnostics tab also lists different tests that may be appropriate for a given symptom or system, as well as a list of possible causes that are specific to the vehicle, system, or symptom. Standard and advanced diagnostic modes enable you to select the level of diagnostic assistance you require. When the DRB is connected to the MDS2 and the vehicle, items such as DTCs will automatically be displayed in the symptoms list. And you can add or remove symptoms based on customer input or road tests by selecting the Add or Remove buttons. While running diagnostics based on either the symptom or system, you can elect to run a specific test individually or automatically run through the tests in a pre-prescribed order by clicking the Auto button. When any test is run, it will either confirm a cause with a red X, exonerate a cause with a green check mark, or implicate other possible causes. Using other tools like the DRB3, the Basic Engine Analyzer, and the Co-Pilot in conjunction with the MDS2 Diagnostics tab increases your diagnostic capability by providing various data displays and test modes. The April MasterTech program will cover the use of these tools in depth. Next to the Diagnostics tab is the Tools tab, which provides you with the ability to read and record real-time vehicle data when other tools are used with the MDS2. Choose the tool you want to use by clicking on the Select Tool Display drop-down menu and highlighting the appropriate tool. MDS2 tools available to help you diagnose vehicle problems include live controller data, a data recording viewer, and several basic engine analyzer tests. Different function buttons appear based on the tool selected, allowing you to do things like erase DTCs, customize data displays and recordings, and work with templates. Moving on, the Flash tab allows you to update vehicle controller software using the MDS2 in conjunction with the DRB3. The Flash tab includes 4 different methods for identifying the vehicle controllers that can be reprogrammed. A list of software updates available based on the current vehicle, and additional update information such as special conditions and related TSBs. The software update can be downloaded into the DRB3 for remote controller reprogramming, a handy feature when there are multiple vehicles to be flashed. During controller reprogramming, the status of the software download is also displayed. The TSBs and Recalls tab allows for a quick and easy access to the latest service information for specific vehicles. On the left side of the TSBs and Recalls tab is the table of contents, which is arranged by vehicle system and specific TSB and recall descriptions. Clicking on the folder next to the vehicle system brings up the breakdown of TSBs and recalls applicable to that system. When you select a TSB or recall from the table of contents, the text is displayed on the right side of the screen. The TSBs and Recalls tab also include hyperlinks, which are words that are underlined and in blue type. They automatically bring up supporting illustrations when selected. These illustrations are displayed on the left side of the screen in place of the table of contents. Other buttons allow you to display illustrations in different views, display more than one illustration simultaneously, and reset the table of contents. A convenient feature of the MDS2 is the electronic versions of service manuals, schematics, and wiring diagrams, and other service information. The Manuals tab lets you display text and illustrations from the service and diagnostic manuals for a particular vehicle. The Manuals tab display is divided into a table of contents on the left and a details section on the right side of the screen. The table of contents for the service manuals lists the different topics available, divided into the same groups as the printed versions. As with previously discussed tabs, the table of contents shows subheadings within each system when you click on its folder. The Details side of the Manuals tab displays the complete text for each system, including operation, maintenance, and repair procedures. The Manual Details also has hyperlinks to illustrations that accompany the selected text. When selected, these figures replace the table of contents on the left side of the Manuals tab. Similar to the Manuals tab, the Wiring tab displays wiring schematics, connector diagrams, grounds, and other vehicle wiring information. It too has a table of contents section and a details section. In the Details section of the Wiring tab, blue hotspots are available to display connector and component locations, pinouts, and other information when specific areas of the wiring diagram are selected. All illustrations include special buttons that add a measure of flexibility in the display modes. The plus and minus buttons allow you to zoom in and out to see different parts of the schematic, while clicking the button with the page icon gives you a full page view. The pointer button enables the hotspots that we covered earlier, and the magnifier button, which is the default setting for the cursor, gives you an enlarged view of any portion of the diagram. The next MDS2 tab is for Parts, which quickly gives you important information, descriptions, and diagrams for specific vehicle components. The Parts tab screen is divided into a table of contents and details display, and when selected, a parts list and a line item table. The Parts tab table of contents works like those for the other tabs, with folders for each system containing assemblies and folders for each assembly containing components. Where available, illustrations appear on the Details side of the screen as the assembly is highlighted in the table of contents. When the component is selected, the component appears on the right, and the corresponding line item table replaces the table of contents on the left. The parts line item table includes the item number, the part number, and a description, among other information. You can add specific parts to the parts list by clicking on the Add Parts button next to the component in the line item table. View the parts list you have specified by selecting the Parts List button on the bottom left-hand side of the Parts tab. You can delete parts from the list by clicking on the Remove button displayed after each entry in the parts list. The last tab is the History tab, which you can use only within a VIN session. This tab's features are equivalent to dial functions that you may be familiar with, only in a Windows format. Selecting the History tab provides you with specific vehicle data, including warranty coverage, service history, and owner information. At the bottom of the History tab main screen are the navigation buttons for general information, coverage, and service history. The General Information screen displays owner information and vehicle statistics, including options and a detailed list of equipment. The History tab's Coverage screen shows items such as summary of warranty coverage, service contract information, and labor operation lookup results. You can view the particulars of a vehicle's service contract by clicking on the Show Service Contract button in the center of the Coverage screen. The Service History screen displays details concerning past repairs, as well as recall information applicable to the current vehicle. The remaining tab deals with training for the MDS2, which we covered earlier in the program. Try answering another review question before we cover the common controls for the MDS2. The Diagnostics tab features a selection for setting the diagnostic mode to either A. Symptoms or system, B. Possible causes or tests, C. Standard or advanced, or D. None of the above. C is the correct answer. You can set the diagnostic mode to either standard or advanced depending on the level of diagnostic assistance you require. You saw quite a lot of information about the MDS2 tabs in the last section. You also need to know how to use the common controls that let you perform different tasks while in an MDS2 session. Let's take a quick look at them. The 9 common controls are arranged near the top of the MDS2 screen under the tabs. The common control buttons include Log Off, Print, Change, Check, Quick Reference, Preferences, Coach, Help, and Search. Select the Log Off button when you want to end an MDS2 session. When you click the Log Off common control, a dialog box appears that asks if you want to save the session. If you do, enter a session description and click the Save Session button, which takes you back to the Log On dialog box. The Print button is self-explanatory, letting you print the full screen or text or graphics alone. You can also print a parts list here. Earlier in the program, you saw that the Change button is used to change the technician ID that is logged onto the MDS2. The Change button is also used to change the current vehicle. Selecting the Change button brings up the Change dialog box where you can enter a new VIN, resume a session, or start a new YME session. The Check button is used to access another handy feature of the MDS2, the Quick Check, which immediately shows DTCs detected from the vehicle, applicable recalls, and any available flash updates. The Quick Reference button, on the other hand, displays a list of all supporting information for the currently selected topic. Select the publication you want to look at by using the light pen to click on the associated folder. The Preferences button lets you set and change user preferences. In the Preferences dialog box, you can specify general attributes, such as language and measurement, along with settings for the Diagnostics tab. These settings are active the next time the user logs onto the MDS2. The Coach button is a feature designed to help those already familiar with MDS2 usage. Once enabled, the Coach feature provides helpful information pertinent to the current tab or screen. You'll also be able to access the training and help features through the Coach dialog box. And speaking of help, the MDS2 Help button brings up a list of help contents available to assist you. The last common control is the Search button, which lets you search for items you need more information on. The search function is tab specific, so the search dialog box is different depending on the tab selected. That wraps up our look at the general features and usage of the MDS2. Further training is available for those who have completed the MDS2 online training. A course titled MDS2 Technician Orientation, number 0010408, provides in-depth instruction and activities on the MDS2. Don't forget to use the MDS2 Quick Reference Card, and if you need it, help is just a phone call away. The MDS2 helpline is 1-800-374-4040. You'll need a good grasp of the basics of MDS2 usage to learn how to use other diagnostic tools with the MDS2. And you're sure to see more on this in the future.